Hey guys, what's up? NGS here, and it's time for another video. This video is going to be about Death Note, the live action movie. Alright? So, for any of you guys who are in the dark about this, about 2 years ago, when the Death Note movies were released in America, like the ones from Japan that were overdubbed with the cast from the English anime, there are two great movies I think you guys should definitely check out. 10 companies expressed an interest in remaking Death Note for the American audience. Actually, there was one company called Vertigo Entertainment that actually expressed a great interest, and they said they already started plans on remaking Death Note. Now, after these 2 years, we still haven't heard from Vertigo Entertainment. They're in the dark about this, so I don't even know if they're still remaking this project. So, when it comes to an anime coming to America, the first thing that people say is that it's going to end up like... I'm not even going to utter its name, I just got over it. But they think it's going to end up like that movie. When people don't understand that it's not just the directors or the writers who aren't competent when they made Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball in itself is a hard movie to adapt. My personal opinion, I think it's because of the crazy fight scenes that they have in there and how they're always in the air the majority of the time, and it's high martial arts in the air. Now, that's debatable on people who are saying that, well, they adapted the superhero movies pretty well. I don't know what it is about the superhero movies, but there's a clear distinction, in my opinion, between superhero fights and manga fights. I think it's because manga fights are a bit more action-packed and fast-paced in it than superhero fights. But whatever, that's a debate among people. So when people think that Death Note is going to end up like that movie, they think it's going to suck because they think it's going to be an emo movie directed poorly. It's going to end up like this, 20th Century Fox, you know? But here's the thing. Death Note, like I said, is not a hard movie to adapt when it comes to, like, you know, action-packed and budget. The one thing that could screw it up is if it's directed poorly. Because Death Note in itself, like I said, it's easy. But Death Note is a psychological manga. It makes you think about what's Light's next move gonna be. Because it's not a simple series of good cop, bad cop. We start out with Light. We think he's a good guy because he's passing judgment on people, correct? Later on in the series, we get attached to certain characters, and Light ends up killing them. So, is Light a good guy or a bad guy? We think he's good, because he's passing judgment on people. But then he's killing innocent people because they're in his way. So is he good or bad? That's left up to debate for people to understand. If they screw up on the personalities of the characters and the actual story of the Death Note, because Death Note is not a straightforward series. It's basically so many twists and turns in it that really... It's basically like, it's not straightforward like, you know, we're gonna get into this house, right? And we're gonna set a trap, and Kira's gonna walk in, and then we're gonna catch him. It's not like that. I mean, I'm not gonna explain it. I don't want to spoil anything, so I say just go read the Death Note manga and actually see that some of this stuff isn't like in two captions, let's kill Kira. It's like they got this whole thing going on, like we enact this strategy and blah 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 blah. Kira's next move will be this based on that fact and that factor and this percentage, you know? It's a really great series, and it's really intricate in what they say. So how can America screw that up, you ask? If they basically dumb it down. And when I mean dumb it down, I mean dumb it down to make it really straightforward, because that's not what Death Note is. Death Note isn't a straightforward series. I mean, it makes you, like, one minute you'll be rooting for Light, the next minute you'll be rooting for L. So, well, speaking of L, I've got a certain person that it looks just like L, who I'm really hoping for will be cast in this remake. I'll talk about him later in the video. Death Note really plays with your mind. So America could screw that up by dumbing it down, making Light be the hero among heroes. Like, you know, we gotta do this, guys. I'm Light. I'm gonna pass judgment on people. Like, you know, stuff like that. So I've covered how they can screw it up when it comes to the actual plot of Death Note. Let's talk about the one thing people are pissed off about. The possible casting of Death Note. When people think of people who would be great to portray the characters, there's just one person that people just cannot seem to get over, and they just cannot stand if he's cast in this Death Note movie. And that person I'm talking about Zac Efron, people. You know, the teeny bopper High School Musical guy. Alright? People are pissed off that saying that, oh no, he might be cast as Light in the movie because he looks just like Light. We can't have that. Zac is not Kira. We don't want Death Note to end up like High School Musical. We don't want Death Note the musical, alright? We don't want anything of Disney involved in this movie. People, you're under the assumption that everything Zac Efron does relates to High School Musical. No, it isn't. He doesn't carry the High School Musical series with him in his pocket. In every role he has to play, he's got to be this jock who sings about his problems. No, that was just one role he did. High School Musical was a terrible series, but that was a role he did. You see, what people don't understand is, if you work with Disney, you will become popular, all right? If you get cast in a series and they actually write you good stuff, you can become popular. I mean, I'll make a video on this later, but if you don't accept an offer Disney's made you in a show to star in this movie, you are screwed, because High School Musical made Zac Efron's career. And if you just refuse to work with Disney because you don't like what they've been doing recently, you're basically screwed in your career, because Disney is one of the biggest companies in entertainment out there. So that's what Zac Efron did. He worked for money, you know? He did this role, he got money, he became a star, he went off into branching into other roles. It's just that simple. He only played that guy, all right? That Troy Bolton, he's probably never gonna have to play him again, all right? Because High School Musical is over. God forbid that you ever start High School Musical 4. But that's over, all right? That was just one role he was in. That doesn't mean every other role he's in is gonna be like that. Well, Hairspray, he sang, but Hairspray is different. Hairspray is actually good, all right? That's what people are scared about. They don't want Zac Efron in this. What's so bad about Zac Efron playing Light? He's the best looking in the mainstream, like, you know, actors for Light. I mean, if you look at these pictures, he looks just like Light. It's scary how he looks like Light. I mean, just like, God, it's just so good how he looks like Light. And people are saying he can't be in it because he was in High School Musical. It's going to suck because Disney's going to get attached to it. Disney doesn't own him. He doesn't own Disney, all right? And I have a question for everybody who's bitching about it. Would you still be having the same reaction if Zac Efron was cast as Light if he was never in High School Musical? No, you wouldn't be having the same reaction. It's just because he was in High School Musical, all right? He may look a little bit young, and I don't know if he can act that well, but who's to say Joe Jonas can't make a young Mikami look good? He looks like a good young Mikami, and I know that's up to debate, but I personally think he's a good lookalike for young Mikami, all right? Now, would people be having that reaction if Joe Jonas wasn't in Jonas or the Jonas Brothers? No, it's because they're in High School Musical. It's because they're in Camp Rock, Jonas Brothers. That's the thing. You guys, they're actors. They can branch off and do more serious roles. Why do you think Miley Cyrus, I still hate her, she's branching away from Disney into actual movies because she wants to pursue an acting career, all right? Who's to say in a couple years she can't be a good actor? She could be a good actor because she's distancing herself from Disney because she doesn't want that same image of prepubescent girls just liking her music. All right? Just because they were in this doesn't mean they're incapable of being good actors, all right? So I hope that settles what you guys are afraid of, that they're saying they're gonna make Death Note into a musical. That's up to the writers and directors, you guys. Just because they were in those Disney stuff doesn't mean they're going to be in there. And just because Zac Efron's in that, it doesn't mean that Miley Cyrus is going to be Misa Misa. She's not going to be Misa Misa. If it's a coincidence that she's Misa Misa, that's like a 0.00001% chance, but she's most likely not going to be Misa Misa, okay? Okay, I hope that wrapped that up about the whole casting thing. Who says that they can't go after these roles if they can actually act good? If this movie happens, and if Zac Efron is cast as Light, and we see that he performs a spectacular job as Light, would you guys still be bitching about this? No, you wouldn't, because he'd be a great Light if he can act it. And it's not just him. The director has to be competent, and the writers have to be competent when they're making these movies. You can have a shining actor, but if the script is terrible, they're going to be terrible. All right? So it's all up to the director and writer to produce good material for them to say so they don't sound cheesy, all right? I got another example for you guys. And you guys know the YouTube called Sasuke Sound 123 or 321 or something. Tell me he doesn't look just like L, minus the piercings, all right? He looks just like L when it comes to that role. Now, I'm going to put you on blast, Sasuke, just for 1 second. What if he was in Camp Rock 2 as the leading male role? What would you guys think if they cast him as L? Like, oh, he can't be L. He'll be in Camp. He was in Camp Rock 2. We can't have L in Camp Rock 2. I mean, reverse that. Camp Rock 2, L in Death Note. We can't have that. You see, it's the same thing. Just because he was in this movie that was with Disney, that's why you guys don't want it. Who say they can't be good actors, all right? And anyway, if you don't know Sasuke Sound, just like go look at his videos. He looks just like L. I saw this one video where he was even sitting like L. It's uncanny how he looks just like L. So maybe they might not even go with Zac Efron as Light. Maybe they want to go with someone who's an unknown, like which they're going to do in the Spider-Man reboot. Because it isn't always good to get someone who's famous. I mean, it's good for money-wise, but if they can't pull off a good role, it'll suck. That's why getting an unknown is sometimes better for these movies instead of getting a mainstream person who can't pull off the performance. So you guys, those are my thoughts on the Death Note, possible Death Note live action movie coming to America. I don't even know if it's officially announced. I mean, some companies expressed an interest, so we might be hearing a few announcements maybe in a couple months to a year or two. I don't know if this is true, you guys. It's just a possibility. Zac Efron even said in the video, which I'm going to post in the description, freaking over there. Actually, no, it's down here now because of YouTube's new sucky layout. Alright? So, towards the end of the video, just watch like from like 3:30 on, he talks about people being in Death Note. He had a meeting about it, but nothing's official, alright? So I want to thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll catch you guys later.